Sean.
And the money.
Joining us by phone is Sean Allen. Sean, today we have Van Lewis, Director Joan Veldock, Director Mary LeBron, Director Vinnie Royth, and Director Errol Rowland, and a guest or a presenter also is today manager of the golf operations business manager is Larry Ransford. And that's what we have right now. Absent are Jane Klein, Director, and Director Jim Bruce. And they both notified us in advance they wouldn't be here.
Okay, so those are excused absences. We'll mark those in minutes.
Okay. So we call the meeting to order. I guess we already did that. And everybody's had a chance to take a look at the agenda and the minutes from the last meeting and the other items that were presented. There was an agreement there that we've got to sign. What was that agreement, Sean?
Is that the agenda?
No.
It's not an agreement, it's a resolution for your administrative compliance.
Okay. All right. And we've all had a chance to look at that. Now, we first of all have to acknowledge that I am a contractor. I represent a contractor called Ribbon Recyclers, and we recycle print cartridges, but we are giving consulting to the district by maintaining the website. And Vinnie Royth has Vinnie's Custom Golf, and Vinnie is a contractor as well. So we want to make sure that everybody knows that. Is that how we say that, Sean?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay.
He's covering your butt.
So we got that part done. Okay, that was the declaration of a quorum and the conflict of interest. And that has to do, we call the meeting to order. And the reason we're here, and only the reason we're here, is to protect our open space, our property values, and maintain our way of life. Can I get an approval to approve the agenda for today, please?
I so move.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, it was, Vinnie made the motion. Van seconds. Call to question. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Now we take a look at the minutes from October 16, 2014. We all had a chance to take a look at that. We did send this stuff out to the directors in advance. Can we get a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
By Joan Veldock
Second.
and Van Lewis seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. To approve the minutes? Everybody
Yep.
says aye.
Yep.
It's 5-0 vote in favor of it. I have a question about that, Sean. We haven't received the minutes, the approved minutes from April of 2014 or October 2014. Could you forward those to me so I can get them on the internet?
The April ones, yes, the October ones you just approved, so you'll need to sign those today.
Yep.
And then if you get them back to us, we can scan them into our system and get it back to you electronically that way.
That'll work. Thank you very much. And you've got the October, the April 14 on the list too. Okay. Okay. Community reports. President's Council. Maybe Van, you can kind of give us an update there.
The President's Council had a dinner in February, which was well attended. We always want to have more, but I felt that there was a good show of people, and I think that the idea of further classes and further meetings, everybody agrees. One of the big issues that Amanda and I are talking about coming up is something that everybody should know, and it's going to have a huge impact on the HOAs and real estate sales. And this is the Dodd-Frank Act, which went into effect in 2010, and it required a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau be established. And that bureau is in full force, and it's implemented some changes for real estate closings and mortgage application work that's going to be significant. And the biggest aspect is that all documents that reflect the buyer's position financially, what the buyer's going to have to bring to closing, has to be signed and returned to the closing company 3 days before closing. There will be no exceptions other than death. That's about the way it is. I took a class last week, land title, taught the class. It's just the preliminary because this is still coming down the pipeline. But the impact on HOAs is going to be significant because HOAs will not be able to dilly-dally around and change figures such that if the figures change prior to the 3-day period. Now, this isn't a 3-day right of rescission like if you're refinancing a loan. This is, everything's got to be done, locked up, and certified 3 days before. So if anything changes from the HOA perspective, the entire closing has to be pushed down the road 3 more days. So if somebody's buying and selling and buying and selling in a sequence, it's going to be horrific.
When did that go into effect?
That actually kicks into effect the 1st of August of this year. And the actual Bureau itself came into existence probably 3 years ago. And again, it was out of the Dodd-Frank. Now, they've been going through different phases of financing, and their focus on this was basically credit cards and mortgage loans. And so what they're doing, and I brought some documents if anybody wants to look at them, they're going to take what we've all known to be certain forms, truth in lending, which was always kind of an oxymoron, and they're consolidating these things into different formats, which frankly are going to be better. But the big issue is going to be the 3 days prior to closing, everything has to be done. So if there's an inspection issue on a house, and you negotiate at the last minute to say, give me a credit for $25 and charge the buyer for $25, whatever it is, if it's a penny or more, you have to then go back and recut all the figures, and it has to be done 3 days prior to closing. It's going to be rather significant. So Amanda and I are looking at putting out a program in May or June that will bring the HOA presidents together and whoever else to talk about this, because the impact is going to fall partially on the HOA and the management companies. So it's significant.
In what respect?
Because if they change their figures, most HOAs will not give you the status letter until a couple of days before closing. The status letter is the key to a common interest community transaction, so far as this is what the seller owes, this is what the buyer has to contribute. If that changes just prior to or at the time of the 3 day, we're back to scratch again. So the HOAs are going to have their act together, and I think they're going to have to take a look at what they charge for the status letters, to reduce those fees or make it a one-time fee for multiple issues of this, because right now that's where the property management companies make their money, is the service fee that's attached to either the transfer of the interest of one party into the property or the status letter reflecting the seller going out of the property. So there's obviously money involved, but it's going to have an impact on coordinating these sales. So anyway, it's just one of those learning curves.
So it's kind of like, can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, if a property is in the rears on HOA fees, and they say, hey, wait a minute, I brought $150 in at the closing to take care of that, what that does is everything's got to go back.
You got to go back, and that figure has to be put in. In other words, you have to have everything disclosed in writing. It has to be above board, and short sales, things like that.
So if I was selling and he was buying, or if I was selling and I was $150 short, I come in and I go, hey, Errol, here's $150.
No, actually, you'd be okay in that case. But if you ask the buyer to come up with more money after he's already signed a 3 day thing, then that triggers the recycle of it.
Is this a state?
Federal.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
It's Dodd-Frank.
There you go.
And the senator from Massachusetts, I can't think of her name, she was the chairman of this committee, basically.
Elizabeth
Warren. So she was the chairman of this. And so this thing has a fairly draconian aspect to it.
And you didn't think Obama was doing anything for us?
Hey, we're being recorded, by the way, just to let you know. But anyway.
Well, he's doing something for us.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, from the President's Council point of view,
Is this
that's
on
all
Fox?
It could be. How much money you got? Errol also asked me to talk about real estate, what's happening here. And I just showed this to Larry, and this is what's going to be in this month's issue of Metro Matters. But let me read to you what we've got here. in 2014, the metro area Denver homes appreciated on average 9%. That was 2014. From March of 2014 through March of 2015, appreciation is about 12% right now. So far in 2015, the monthly appreciation rates for January and February average 1.8% each month, which annualized at 21.6%.
Stop it.
Here in Heather Ridge.
No, this is the
That's-
entire metro area.
Okay, man.
This is the, yeah.
Metro
yes.
Denver.
Metro Denver.
Got it.
I'll get to Heatheridge in
Okay,
a second. The average metro sold price for March, this last March, was roughly $355,000. That's up $10,000 from February. So it went up $10,000 one month, but wait, and so this is what's really interesting. From March of 2014, a year ago, the average sold price is up almost $44,000
In the Metro Denver.
in the Metro Denver area.
That's kind of sick.
Well, it can't sustain itself.
No.
It's gonna buy, and that's a 14% rate right there. But what's interesting is I went in to look at Heatherridge and asked how are we stacking up against the Metro District, and I went all the way back to 2008, and that's what this chart will show here. And this is the first quarter of the year, so I compared first quarters of all these years. The average sold price for the first quarter of Heatherridge for 2015 was roughly speaking $183,000. 183. That is up 33,000 from 2014.
Really?
Yeah, and that's an annual appreciation rate of 22.98%.
22.98%
Yeah.
increase. We are growing at a much faster, escalating our values much faster than Metro Denver.
And I think a lot of it's because of our price point. We're at a very desirable price point for people renting, people living, you know.
No kidding.
Yeah.
We have no homes for sale right now, do we?
Virtually none. I mean, when it comes to the market, they'll say, we'll show it for 4 days, then we'll see what our offers are. And they say we've got 5 or 10 offers and we'll pick this and they're off the market. That's usually what you see.
So you're saying the Metro District of Heather Ridge, the price is escalated by 20%,
No, actually almost 23%.
23% in what time
Water
frame?
in there.
Yeah.
In what time frame?
A year.
In a year,
Yeah.
okay.
This is the first quarter
We
of
went up
2014.
okay.
It's not. it's
Now, the
all
other thing
locked
is,
up.
we only had
It's all
we had
locked up.
21 sales in the first quarter. Now, the previous year, we only had 17 sales.
Right.
Upstairs.
So we've got small numbers, and these can be skewed,
Sure.
you know. But anyway, the other thing